Hello everyone and welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Tuesday, October 7, 2025. It should be mentioned here that it's been 2 years since the genocide in Gaza has started happening. Everyone will say that it started on October 7, 2025, but we know the history. It's been decades since Israel started its atrocities in Gaza and in Palestine overall. But I am Abdul Majid Awan.
And I'm Ward Ahmed, and we've got a packed show for you today. First up, OpenAI's Sam Altman tours the Middle East to raise funds for AI expansion. Saudis join Elon Musk's Netflix boycott over this Arabic-dubbed kids show, which we'll further discuss later. And Saudi executives were detained in a Diriyah corruption probe. And the SSC channels have gone off air after losing Saudi football streaming rights to Thmanyah.
And before we move on, one of the world's largest anticipated technology events, you know which one, GITEX Global 2025, is set to take place at the Dubai World Trade Center from October 13 to 17. Next week, the exhibition will feature over 1,200 companies, government entities, and startups from more than 60 countries, showcasing cutting-edge innovations in AI, robotics, autonomous vehicles, and digital transformation, further cementing Dubai's position as a global hub for future technologies.
And first up for today, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is touring the Middle East, including the UAE specifically, as a part of a major fundraising drive to support the company's AI infrastructure expansion, according to the Wall Street Journal.
And Sam Altman, who leads OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, was recently received in Abu Dhabi by UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, His Highness. During the visit, the Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence also awarded him its first honorary doctorate for his role in advancing global AI.
Now we know that all of this was hardly a coincidence. The visit is really underscoring the Gulf's growing role in the global AI ecosystem, with sovereign wealth funds like Mubadala, ADIA, MGX positioning themselves as major players in tech and semiconductor investments.
And OpenAI's push for funding comes as it faces surging infrastructure costs, with spending on computing servers expected to hit $16 billion this year and rise to $400 billion by 2029. That's what the WSJ report said.
Now, following his UAE meetings, Altman is expected to continue his tour in Asia, holding discussions with chip makers like TSMC, Samsung, and SK Hynix to secure long-term supply and production capacity for OpenAI's expansion.
And yesterday they signed a deal with AMD, which is worth billions of dollars. They didn't say how many billions, but billions of dollars. AMD shares were up nearly 40% yesterday. I missed an opportunity to invest in it. But yeah, that's what they have done. So this news kind of like now makes sense because the first deal has been signed with AMD. NVIDIA stocks went down because AMD is also a chip maker. NVIDIA is a chip maker. So AMD, I think they're going to supply millions of chips to OpenAI now. It's kind of like, I think, a backup plan. NVIDIA is American, OpenAI is American. Both of them don't have any problems with getting the chips. I don't know why he chose AMD. I think NVIDIA chips are more expensive, and he's like already burning too much money on ChatGPT.
You know what it is also, by the way? I think it's the fact that, the Wall Street Journal pointed out something that was very interesting.
Yeah.
They said that he's specifically trying to raise $16 billion for AI infrastructure, and that it's meant to balloon to $400 billion. Where did we hear that number before? When they announced Stargate.
Yeah.
When President Donald Trump came to power for his second term, he made the announcement. He made a very lavish announcement with Sam Altman, and he said that, we're going to be building Stargate across America. And they called it the $400 billion Stargate project, which we're now seeing has extended itself to Abu Dhabi, where they're trying to build the largest data center outside of the U.S. But you know what this is basically telling, Majid? They did not get the funds that they need for Stargate.
Yeah.
They don't have them.
Yeah, they're just trying to raise it.
Because why would he randomly come to the UAE and get an honorary doctorate?
Yeah.
There had to be some reason behind it. And now It's good to know. It's good to know that, that there's still a struggle there for them. It's good to know.
The main idea about why all these people are needing so much money, and it's a valid question, that why would you need like billions and billions of dollars to just run these systems that we use every day? ChatGPT, X, Elon Musk recently raised like $6 billion. He's been raising money. I think in the last year, he's raised money thrice. Because to run these systems, you need to like throw money like water. It's so expensive to just have those data centers running so that we can use Grok, we can use Anthropic Claude, we can use Lisha, the Mistral one, any ChatGPT kind of chatbot that you're using. It's so interesting that it's become a ChatGPT and not a generative AI chatbot. But all these things that you use, they have big data centers working behind them, and all those data centers cost money. So they literally run out of money as soon as they raise it.
And of course, they've come to money here.
So,
you know what I discovered, Majid? I mean, it's not like a new discovery. This has been around for a while. But I found out that the third country in the world with the most sovereign wealth is the UAE.
Yeah.
Like with the most sovereign wealth combined. And just right after it, I believe, is China and the US. They have here, I believe, more than $2 trillion in sovereign wealth. All these companies, MGX, G42, Mubadala, ADIA, this is where the capital is at. So I understand why Altman would be here and why he would specifically go to Abu Dhabi where they're based.
Yeah, and he will get the money because UAE, Saudi, Qatar, to an extent, they're all investing in AI. And anything AI, it's not just infrastructure to build data centers, it's not just the products, the softwares that they're investing in. They're literally investing in anything which has AI written with it or helps run these AI systems. So he is back for money. We did a story, I think, around last year, before Mr. Trump, or maybe at the start of the year.
He's coming here to raise funds.
Before Mr. Trump's visit. I remember that he was coming here to raise money. So most probably he will get more money. The only problem with all of this is, and you'll see now, a lot of literature has been written, news stories, investigative pieces, that how do you get this money back? And that is going to be the biggest question for everyone who is putting in billions of dollars. How do you get money back? ChatGPT, even right now with their paid subscribers, they don't recover all the money. They are in loss. So even if they go to 100 million ARR, which is annual recurring revenue, they still spend billions on the systems. So they have to go to billions to eventually start making a profit. Also, the Elon Musk and Sam Altman clash, we all know. Elon Musk doesn't want it to become a for-profit organization. It wants OpenAI to stay as NGO, non-profit. They just do the break.
Either option is unethical. They're burning money and they're burning trees and they're burning the environment.
How do you get this money back is the biggest question right now in the world for everyone.
Yes, it is.
But most probably soon we will see that there will be some kind of system in place where whoever is investing billions, the Mubadlas, the ADIs, all the people that are investing in this, they will somehow get money out of it. They always do. But next up is a Saudi story, and it's a very interesting story. We're just talking about Elon Musk, and Saudi users are joining a growing online backlash after Elon Musk called for a Netflix boycott. It's been happening. Netflix share price is, I think, at least 10% down. Yesterday I saw it was at 11.52, and the good part where I think the 52-week, the yearly high was 1,300. So they've lost nearly $200 on per share price. It's a big loss for them. And Elon Musk, accused the platform of promoting what he described as a transgender woke agenda. Musk's call came after he reposted a clip from Dead-End Paranormal Park on X. It's a show.
Now, in the clip, which has gone absolutely viral, the show's protagonist identifies as transgender. Musk wrote, "This is not okay," and later urged users to cancel Netflix for the health of your kids. Now, since his tweets, which Majid has just outlined, Netflix's shares have fallen, and they're actually saying that it's wiped out $25 billion in their market value.
They've lost a lot of money. But the controversy gained traction across Saudi social media, where users shared an Arabic dub scene from the same show. Many criticized the inclusion of the LGBTQ plus themes in children's programming. And children's, it's not just like 10 years old or 12 years, it's 7-year-old, 5-year-old programming where it is happening. And they called it inconsistent with local culture local cultural and religious values.
Now, Netflix, which has around 3 million subscribers in the Middle East and North Africa, has actually previously faced scrutiny in Saudi Arabia. In 2019, it had to remove an episode of Patriot Act with Hassan Minhaj following a government complaint under the country's anti-cybercrime law.
And analysts say the backlash highlights ongoing tensions between global media platforms and regional cultural norms. Companies operating in the Middle East are often expected to align content with local laws and sensitivities to maintain their market presence. And it's very important that you localize the content. You just don't put anything that you make on. I remember I told you one of the stories from the newspaper that I work for in Pakistan, that whenever we got the New York Times, we were the publishing partners of the New York Times, the Express Tribune, and we would publish their English newspaper, the New York Times, in Pakistan. They used our printing press and everything. But whenever there was a discussion about LGBTQ or anything written which is against Pakistan's cultural and religious norms, that space would go blank. So you're reading the New York Times in Pakistan and suddenly you see a whole page blank. And you're like, what happened here? So we would go and we would search on the web, oh, what was there? So you get the international edition online, the e-print version. But at least they were sensitive to it. They knew that these topics, you can't have them in a newspaper in Pakistan.
You have to take your audience into consideration and really read the room there. But I think, with this entire story here, not to play devil's advocate, but, I have to give Netflix the benefit of the doubt because of the fact that, when the entire Patriot Act episode came up in 2019, when a complaint was filed, they proceeded and they removed it. They did remove it, and now we're seeing that. I think this conversation, it is important to be having, and especially in terms of the deals that they're combining together right now. NBC and Netflix coming together, that joint subscription. If that thought was not there before to outline, for NBC to step up and say, hey, we don't want this airing, now that conversation is going to be even more stronger to tell Netflix, hey, we don't want this airing. And I think it's a good conversation to have, and I think that it is very expected. Remember when, I think it was 2 years ago, when the Doctor Strange movie was coming out, and there was something that Saudi was unhappy about in the movie. I don't quite remember. And they had specifically asked Marvel to remove it. Marvel did not remove it, so they did not air the movie. Very simple, point blank. So I think with this entire story, it's more of like, Netflix has 3 million subscribers here. I think that if you want to have a successful business in a region like this, you do have to comply with people's cultural values and what they believe in. And I understand why it's a cause for concern.
I think we've talked about it a lot, the localization of everything. You're coming to the Middle East, it's a big money pool right here. We have the capital of the capital, Abu Dhabi, we have Saudi Arabia, Saudi Vision 2030. Now most probably soon enough we'll see the whole plan for Saudi Vision 2040 as well. They've announced it, they haven't announced the whole plan, but it's in the media that there is a Saudi Vision 2040 as well. Everything that you see right now in this region is attracting everyone, be it food companies, be it Netflix, be it any sort of company. Beast, what's the
Mr.
name?
Beast?
Yeah, Mr. Beast is coming to Riyadh season. They have
Feastables?
No, Feastables is coming to Saudi Arabia, but at Riyadh season they have a Mr. Beast whole themed park or something or some place. So every big person, every big name that is coming to this region to do something. Abu Dhabi, recently there was an opening of a restaurant on Love in Dubai. I saw them discussing that celebrities are here for Carbone opening. So Egyptian celebrities, Hollywood celebrities, everyone is here. So when you come here, it's like when I, as a Pakistani passport holder, go to the UK or America, I'm supposed to abide by 100 million laws. Likewise, when you come here with your product or anything, you should abide by all the laws, all the cultural sensitivities, everything. I remember I was going to Georgia and one person, I won't name them, actually I don't remember, but I have an idea who told me, and they were like, don't, how do you say, what do you call it? I think don't talk when eating or something like that. And I was like, okay, so every country has their small things, then don't do this, don't do that. Burp. They told me not to burp on the dining table because Georgians don't like it. And I was like, okay. And I actually asked the tour guide that this is what was told to me. And he was like, yeah, in our culture, it's considered bad burping on the table. Even if you have to, like, you can excuse yourself on the side, go to the washroom.
No,
or just try to do it in the most silent way possible.
It is true. Like, for example, for me, I know that in certain people's homes, they want you to take, your shoes off.
Yeah.
But by the way, like in Sudanese households, that's not a requirement.
Oh.
No, because we believe that when you're going barefoot, you're actually going to get a disease.
Oh.
We do believe in that. It is true, actually. Research does show, but I'm here to tell you about business. But point is, so we don't take it off. But when I go to my friends' homes, when I go visit my South Asian friends, I always take it off. No questions asked.
Yeah, because we have this.
You know what it also is with this Majid? I think it's the level of hypocrisy there. Like, for example, remember that story that I'd covered a while ago, the one about Bob Iger, this podcast that basically claimed that Bob Iger, the Disney guy, he basically vetoed a Disneyland park in Saudi Arabia due to their local laws and regulations. But what was interesting about the entire thing, what the podcast was claiming, saying that, that this is something great and amazing, is that the fact that years ago, I think in 2022, the then CEO of Disney, his name is Bob Chapek, I believe, he actually came under so much fire and scrutiny because this bill came out in Florida. I think it's called the Don't Say Gay bill. And all of his employees were completely angry because he did not speak out. He did not speak out for them. He did not speak out with them. And his response came way too late. And it's interesting that, their own CEOs are taking such a stance, but they have so much critical comments about the Middle East. I think the hypocrisy there, it's very clear.
Yeah, we got one comment and it's very interesting. It's actually a nice option that you can have in Netflix or any other streaming platform. He says, his name is Emmanuel Blessed. The name of the account is Mr. Blessed. He says there should be an option for people, if they want to subscribe to it, they should do it. But if it shouldn't be forced on us and our kids as a standard. So I think what we see, what I've learned from a lot of people, because a lot of cousins or friends, when they tell me, oh, have you seen this show on Netflix? And I'm like, okay, no, I haven't seen it. And I go find it on Netflix, it's not there. So they have their regional programming already there, right? North Africa has this, blah, blah, blah. I think it shouldn't be like, oh, these shows are there. You should have an option to select your region yourself, and then you get shows. So even if you're like in UAE, I know cultural sensitivity, religion, and all these things are very important. But if you want to watch some show which doesn't have all these things, but it's only available in Europe, you should be able to change your region. Like, please, can I watch this show? Because so the whole library, his idea is, should be available to everyone. It should be your option. There should be parental guidance. We have parental guidance, right? In all these streaming platforms, you have a kids account always. On my Netflix, I have a kids account. Prime, I have a kids account. Disney, I have a kids account.
Yeah.
In that kids account, just add one more feature. Like, oh, do you want these type of categories on your kids' cartoons or not? And you can select or unselect them. Very simple option to incorporate for such big giants, right? So
Very
it
true.
can be can be helpful to an extent. Just a suggestion if Netflix is listening.
It is. And I think for everyone listening, I think
Yeah.
that you should know that, in the Gulf countries, they have very strong law authorities, and we specifically see that in Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia's anti-corruption authority, Nazaha, has detained at least 2 senior executives linked to Diriyah, the kingdom's $63 billion flagship real estate project, according to Semaphore, which basically cited people familiar with the investigation. 3 to be specific. The arrests were made in recent weeks as part of an ongoing probe.
And one of the detained executives has reportedly been released, while it remains unclear whether formal charges have been filed. Nazaha and Diriyah Gate Development Authority have not commented on the case, which comes amid heightened scrutiny of governance within major national projects.
backed by Saudi Arabia's $1 trillion public investment fund. Diriyah is one of the kingdom's premier Vision 2030 developments aimed at transforming the historic birthplace of the Saudi state into a global tourism, cultural, and lifestyle hub.
And the vast projects include luxury residences at a $1.4 billion opera house and a Greg Norman designed golf course, and is expected to attract 50 million visitors annually, house 100,000 residents, and contribute $5 billion to the Saudi economy once completed.
The detentions follow a series of executive reshuffles and governance reviews across Vision 2030 mega projects, including NEOM, the $500 billion futuristic city. We recently saw how PwC was recently barred from advisory work for a year. It should end soon in February of next year after procedural issues reported by the Financial Times.
And it's an important story again because it's one of the biggest projects. You talk about NEOM, you talk about Diriyah, there's the entertainment city, Qiddiya. All these projects, they're supposed to finish by 2030. But I think one of the projects recently got moved to 2040. They're like, we can't. The new Murabba, the cube that they're making, they've moved it to Vision 2040 now. They'll complete it by then. But all these projects, I think it's a good sign.
Yeah.
That it's funny, and it's a very common misconception. I'm calling it a misconception because it is a misconception in our countries, in the Asian countries especially, that Saudi Arabia, even if you're a local and you do anything, you won't get caught. That's a very big misconception. And we know so many cases since Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has come, since 2015, that a lot of people have been put into jails or have been brought to justice because they were involved in some kind of corruption. And this shows that the country hasn't moved on to only female empowerment or giving license to women to drive and all this. They've also moved on with a lot of things that were considered normal in terms of financial discrepancies and all that, it's a royal, nothing will happen. But now it's actually a very nice thing to see that these things are happening. Publicly, obviously, I think whenever these things happen, they don't go public. They don't publish on the Saudi press agency that this has happened. Semaphore got an exclusive for us, for everyone.
Look, you know what it is with this entire story, I believe, Majid? The reason why we're seeing that there's so many leadership reshuffles happening in these big mega city projects, NEOM, Diriyah. There's also another project where I saw that the CEO, I believe, stepped down, also by Semaphore. But I think the reason why we're seeing this is not because, as many would like to say, that these projects are unrealistic or they're not going to work. I think that Burj Khalifa, and I will always say it, is a huge testament that they can happen. I think it's the fact that this is how I'm thinking about it. When you have Brent crude per barrel becoming around $60, when Saudi Arabia was planning all of these projects, what they had in mind is that it would be around minimum $80 per barrel, optimistically $90. When you are dealing with such a budget, of course, you are going to have insane amount of oversight and eyes on all of these projects. You want to make sure that the company is not incurring more expenses because of any kind of corrupt leadership or corrupt individuals. So I think that's why there's so much oversight over all of this, because this is all, I think that it's a very thin line here. They don't want the reason why this does not go well to just be due to these individuals. And I think rightfully so.
Yeah, the main idea is that they have to complete the projects. They need money for it.
Yeah.
Oil is going down, so obviously their main source of income, which is one of the biggest source of incomes for Saudi Arabia, it's going down. So again, as you said, whatever they planned on some idea of oil at a certain price, it's not happening. So they have to make money somehow. One is that. The second is, corruption. Even if you have a lot of money, corruption somehow takes a huge chunk, or at least some part out of it, and you don't deliver on time. So they have to do it. It's a very nice process, I have realized, that Saudi Arabia is not okay, we'll do it like usually we used to do it or anything. We are going to make sure that whatever we've said, whatever projects are there, we have to deliver them. And Saudi Vision 2030 has to become a reality. A lot of the targets that they had for Saudi Vision 2030, a lot of them have been achieved already. The tourism target, I remember. Economic target, I don't have any comment on it because they are going down. They are actually taking a lot of money through bonds, through this and that. But I think as soon as they finish all these projects and these projects start making money, they will recover all that.
But you know,
money.
like Majid, like just with these projects, like just to go into, my point further, it's kind of, this point of accountability, this point of due diligence, I do not expect yourself to not be held accountable. I think that the fact that we're seeing stories like this come up, it's not meant to be scary.
Yeah.
It's meant to tell you that Saudi Arabia has a very strong accountability system in place. We've seen it in the past with big companies, when you have, leadership who are committing fraud, either cheating the balance sheets, either overinflating amounts or underinflating amounts, that can at some point lead to bankruptcy.
Yeah.
How is something meant to move forward if you don't know the right numbers, if you don't have the right people?
Yeah.
So I'm taking a look at it from that perspective. I think it's so important that they are enforcing accountability because they'll be able to avoid worse things like for example what happened with PwC.
Yeah.
They'll be able to avoid a fate like that.
And very interesting comment before we move on to the next story. It's Indian Saudi couple travelers. That's the name of the account. And they're saying, hey guys, we're Indian Saudi couple travelers who are the first couple bikers from Saudi Arabia to reach the highest motorable pass in the world, Lingla in Ladakh Himalayan mountains. Sirs and madam, very interesting story. Send it to Love in Saudi, Love in Riyadh, or Love in Jeddah, any of the accounts.
Yeah.
Most probably this is a story for them. But yeah, we've mentioned you as we should. The next story, the last story, is again about Saudi, and it's a sad story, but it's also a story of growth for another company. The Saudi sports company, which was SSC, their channels have officially gone off air after losing the rights to broadcast Saudi football to Thmanyah earlier this year. Footage of the shutdown aired on October 5, 2025, marking the end of the network's 4-year run.
Launched in 2021, SSC served as the home of the Roshan Saudi League, the King's Cup, and the Saudi Super Cup, offering both free and subscription-based channels. It featured some of the region's most popular commentators and became a key platform for Saudi football coverage.
And in June 2025, in a landmark move, Thmanyah, which began as a podcast platform and is now part of the Saudi Research and Media Group, secured exclusive broadcast rights for all the Saudi football leagues from 2025-26 to the season of 2030 and 31.
Now, the deal followed a competitive bidding process that reshaped the country's sports media landscape, with Thmanyah expected to introduce a mix of free-to-air channels and digital streaming options aimed at enhancing fan engagement and accessibility. I think it definitely is an end of an era.
Yeah.
You have a podcast platform originally that has come and taken over the job and is doing a great job too.
I think it's just the audience. Whoever has the most audience wins, and digitally, Thmanyah is better than.
Right.
And it's just the move
That's a good
from
point.
the same conventional TV-led media to more digital, more audio, more video platforms. And Thmanyah is, no doubt, they have the world record for the most viewed podcast on YouTube, and they have so many records. And they're not a big company. They started small, and now they're under SRMG. Recently, the head of SRMG was the first one to be included in the Time 100 Next list. It's the first time ever any Saudi has made it to the Time 100 Next list, and it was SRMG's head. So it shows that a big company, and then Thmanyah, and then working together, then getting all the rights, eventually they are becoming the next big thing in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, they are. And, just before we wrap up, Expand North Star is the world's largest event for startups and investors, taking place in Dubai from October 12th to the 15th, 2025 at Dubai Harbor. Now, the 10th edition of the event will feature over 1,800 startups, over 1,000 investors and innovators from 65 countries and more, creating a global platform for the digital economy, showcasing new cutting-edge consumer tech, and it's really going to foster investment opportunities and collaborations for many.
Yeah, and last year, it's happening, it's starting on Sunday, this Sunday. Last year, at the opening on Sunday, His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, the Crown Prince of Dubai, came and he visited a lot of startups. So it's a very nice chance for you to see him and meet him.
Yes, it is. And you can also meet us there.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description.
This has been a Smashi Business Show, Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. A big shout out to our more than 2 million monthly listeners across all platforms. You guys make this possible. If you're one of them, we appreciate you. Have a great, great, great day, and we will see you tomorrow.